coming up on the show today, it's going to be fun. I cut the top of my finger off yesterday. I'm going to tell you how I did it, and I'm going to unveil it right now. And I'm also going to tell you what to do with some of those St. Patrick's Day leftovers. It's one thing I always do, and it's awesome. All that and more when KB's Unemployed show starts right now.
It's KB's Unemployed sheet. He's unemployed and didn't know what to do, so he started a shit. Talks about stuff to kill time. He didn't know what to call it, so he called it KB's Unemployed show.
Hey, welcome to KB's Unemployed show. It is day 99. I'm going to have to see what I can come up with tomorrow for a celebration of my 100th, with my 100th day of unemployment. I mean, that is kind of like a milestone. I would think 100 days of unemployment. So I should probably come up with something special. Maybe I'll reach out to someone, an old former colleague of mine, and see if he'll congratulate me on 100 days of unemployment. You know what? As each day passes, as much as I loved and still love, mind you, what Drew and I did in the Drew and KB show, and I love it immensely. I think that may be the most fun that I've ever had, and the best job I've ever had in my entire life. Probably was. But as much as I love it, I'm telling you, not having to be anywhere is pretty damn good. Okay. I do not mind that at all, not having to be anywhere. And so I think I'm going to continue down that path. There's a lot of things that I can do. Something I swore I would never do, but now that I'm older, I just might do because it's convenient, is I may actually, what the hell is that? Why do you do that for? No. Is actually join a golf league. Now, I'm gonna be the first one to admit it. I'm not the first one to say it. When it comes to playing golf, I'm kind of snotty that way. I get a little bit snobbish, and public, municipal course golf leagues aren't my thing. I don't really like to spend a couple hours of my day where afterwards someone's going to say, wow, if I had made that putt, I could have had a 53, on 9 holes. That's not really what I'm into, but I will say this, some of the guys that play in the league are a lot of fun guys. And it's something to do in the evenings, which is when I used to play most of the time anyway. I used to like to play in the evenings. So that may be, I might be able to do that. That could be on the bucket list. Well, not a bucket list, but that could be on my to-do list now that I'm unemployed. Sue says I should go to the gym. I haven't been to the gym in a long time, as evidenced by my recent weight gain, which is hovering. I said I was going to drop pounds. I'm still hovering at 216. I lost 1.3 pounds. But, man, it's just hard when they're not, putting you on the spot and paying you to endorse your product, to endorse their product, to really commit to the diet. But I kind of have to. Because you got to get in that habit. And then once you get out of the habit, which was the holidays for me, it was tough to get back in the habit. So that kind of sucked from that standpoint. But 99 days, got to figure out what we're going to do for 100 days. I know where my life is going. Just got to convince Sue it's the right place to go. She's still not convinced that basically we're just starting our retirement a couple of years early. Right. And, in the workforce for getting your ass kicked for I don't know how many years. And you take a look and you go, I can continue my quality of living like this for a significant number of years. And by golly, I'm going to do that. And I would just have to die 2 years earlier, I guess, or whatever the case may be, do the calculation. But I'm shutting her down, and then I'm just going to pick up odd jobs here and there. Like I said, I'm going to be a starter out at Erin Hills, which, by the way, if I can just say this, that job may be, in fact, I know it's my dream job, except I can't wear shorts. Okay, which is fine because golf pants are thin enough anyway. You're not going to get too hot. But as I would always say, my dream job. What is your dream job? Anywhere I can wear shorts. So I'm going to be out on a golf course. I'm going to continue to do that, and have a little walking around money, and just have to get a good money guy that puts you on a. This goes in every month, and it's just like your paycheck, and you don't overdraw, and everything is going to be just fine. So that is the plan. And that's what we're doing. Hey, I want to do this. Coming up later in the show too. I got a new feature that I'm messing with. Yeah, I just have because I really am not beholden to anyone on this show. I am my own boss and my own program director. Not really making any money doing this, just having a lot of fun. I can do whatever I want, and I can try whatever I want. And it doesn't matter because it's not going to scare anyone away. Well, it might scare anyone away, people away. I can tell you this with absolute certainty that now every time I pretty much do a show, I lose followers on Twitter, probably because I can't talk about sports. But who was coming to me for their sports takes anyway, really, when you get right down to it. So 99 days of unemployed, can't talk about sports, but my new feature is going to be this KB Internet Life Coach. Every time we've got these show prep sites that you go to and you find articles and things that are happening. It's an aggregator. These sites are aggregators, and they pull stuff together, and you go, okay, this is interesting, and you read about it, and then you might do something with it. And what they always have on there are these, hey, topics to get the phones ringing, or that people want to weigh in on, or it's always, guys bitching about their girlfriends or girlfriends bitching about guys. And so maybe it's when I look at those and I read those, it's like, dude, you're an idiot, or this really is where the whole what color is the sky on your planet comes from, because these people are half cracked. And what I'll do now is I'll read a letter, one of those advice things, and I'm going to tell you exactly how the world works. So KB, Internet Life Coach. Maybe it's, you know what it's kind of like? It's kind of like bringing back the Playboy Advisor. Now, I don't know if any of you would remember that. The older gentlemen out there, who may be watching and were familiar with Playboy magazine. They always had the Playboy Advisor, which is always where it's like letters to the editor. You could write in and ask for advice. And it was basically two things. There were only two articles or letters that came every month. One was, how do I set up my stereo, my surround stereo system? And that's back in the days of you had the big receiver and the turntable and the clip horns in the corner, and you had stuff hanging. So it was, I have to set up my surround sound. What is the best way to do it? Always a question there. And then the other question that was always there was some sort of, how do I convince my wife, girlfriend to give me a blowjob? Or every once in a while, you'd have the woman who would write in and say, hey, my husband likes these. What should I do? But that was pretty much it. Those were all the stories. And if you don't believe me, go back and look. And to the women out there, I apologize. But you know what? I really don't. Again, I don't care anymore. It's like if you don't like the language, it's not like I'm getting disgusting about it. I'm just saying this is what it is. And so maybe it'll be like the Playboy Advisor, so the KB Advisor or what have you. But I'm just going to take all the stuff that I find out on the World Wide Web, and I'm going to give you my spin on it. So KB Life Coach is going to be another one that's coming up. So I've got one today, and I'll run through it. And it's a kind of a St. Patrick's Day hookup story. And we'll just see how that goes. Maybe I'll do it again. Maybe I won't. Anyway, where are we? Well, I'm going to talk. I'm not supposed to. I'm not supposed to do this, but I'm going to do this. I'm going to talk sports very briefly, though, very, very briefly. And I'm not going to get into breaking anything down. But you know what? This is my life. This is what I love to enjoy doing. And if my former employer, wants to cut my legs out because I talk for 3 minutes on sports on a YouTube show, well, then so be it. Then they're the dicks, not me. But I want to send out a congratulations to the World Baseball Classic and to Venezuela for winning the World Baseball Classic. I'd love to see them do this every 2 years, or at the very least every 4, like it is with the World Cup, because it is so good to have meaningful baseball in the middle of March. Before, I haven't watched a single preseason game. I really don't care to watch any preseason games because it really, really doesn't matter. Going down to spring training is awesome. Hang out and you watch some ball. But in terms of the ball, watching baseball in spring training isn't about the baseball. It's about hanging out on the grass and having the first summer shandy of the summer and watching a little ball. You can't take anything that you see on the field in spring training as an indicator of what's going to happen during the year. As Drew and I have often said, what you really want is you want to be able to come out of spring training at 500. And the people that go all unhinged because they don't like the way the pitchers are, what the pitchers are doing, or our pitching sucks and this guy sucks, he got hit so hard. None of that matters because you don't know what they're working on. They could be working on their off-speed pitch, or they could be working on a changeup, or they could be working on hitting one part of the plate. And so they're throwing it over and over and they're going to get rocked. And it happens. It does not matter. I guarantee you they're not going to be throwing that way when the season comes around. So you can't worry about that. So I don't watch spring training, but meaningful baseball in March was awesome. These last games, the semifinals and the finals, were incredible. And you know what? This is what makes, I would say, of all the sports, of the 4 major sports, Pro Bowl sucks, right? And you don't have a league where you can do that. You don't have a world presence for football. It's known around the world, but you don't have a world presence, right? That you could do a world football league thing. You can do it with basketball, but basketball players are such prima donnas, with the exception of one who I'm going to talk about in a second. Basketball players are such prima donnas. It's, there's load management and I'm not playing and, all this BS, right? That it just doesn't have the same juice. But when you got into the Olympics and you saw these NHL players, some of whom might have been teammates that were just pounding the living hell out of each other on the ice, playing for their country. And the same thing happened with baseball, playing for their country, right? These guys were pumped up. Venezuela was pumped up. Now, it got a little bit dicey at the end, and you may not have been getting the best players because you had managers who are getting so close to spring training. And this is generally with the pitchers, but they were getting so close to spring training, they were saying to the teams, whether it's the manager of Venezuela or whatever team their pitchers were on, hey, we don't want them throwing this close to the start of the season. So guys that you would have seen in high leverage situations, you didn't, or they were asked to be shut down. And I can understand that with pitchers, because you never know when a pitcher is going to blow out, and you can't back off on throwing anything when you're pitching in something like that. It's not like, well, yeah, I can throw 101, but I'm only going to throw 96. It really doesn't, it doesn't work that way. You can blow out at any given time. And so I can understand that. And I can see how you would want to shut that down. But nonetheless, when it came to position players, it was awesome. And I believe three Brewers on the team last night. William Contreras, you had, and Jackson Churio, who had a big hit last night, I believe, or big play in center field. But he's been great all season. And he's been really good throughout this series, and it'll be good to see him coming back. And then Bryce Trang over on the side of the Team USA, who looked great. He looked great, by the way, great defensively. I threw this question out there: if you could take, if Bryce Trang could take one player off that Team USA team and bring him back to Milwaukee, which one would it be? And I was asking my friends that. And, a couple people, the primary or the number one name that came out that popped out right away was Paul Skeens. And it makes sense because he is a dominant starting pitcher. But that was not my guy. My guy that I would take with me if I was Bryce Trang would be Bobby Witt Jr. because he's just a five-tool guy, fills your shortstop void that's there. Jory Ortiz, by the way, in the World Baseball Classic, but it fills that shortstop position with everything. And probably even better defensively, definitely better with a bat. But that's who I would bring back with me. It would be Bobby Witt Jr. With this, but it was good to watch meaningful baseball and to see baseball where people actually cared about the games. And the other sports thing I'm going to talk about, and hopefully this isn't going to, get them to yell at me for violating my non-compete, but I'm not competing with them. So I don't know how they could say it's a non-compete. I'm not on the radio. I'm not doing a sports show. I'm just talking. Is the Bucks. And I don't watch the Bucks at all. I can't stand it. But I do look at every opportunity. I look at for every chance I can to rip on Bucks ownership because no one can convince me otherwise that they're not just grifters. They're head funch guys. Of course, they're grifters. And the other one sells has truck stops that sell $14 bags of beef jerky, and God knows what else happens in those things. But Giannis, the Bucks went to Giannis and said, with his recent injury, and said, we want to shut you down for the season, which is pretty much saying, we're going to give up. Well, if you didn't notice that they probably gave up somewhere back in December. And I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is with that team, but man, oh man, they took a championship team and just gutted it inside of 4 years to back to where we were in the 90s. Truly remarkable. But I want to send some props out to Giannis, who basically told him pound sand. Giannis, we want to shut you down. No, I'm going to come back and play again. Giannis is about one of the few great stories in sports of players who understand it's their job, B, understand how much people are paying for, and to see him understands the impact of what it is on, Joe Sixpack's wallet. When he goes out there, even early on when he did like his first all-star game, other guys were lighting him up because he was playing too hard, because he was playing like it was a regular game. So there's everything, excuse me, everything to love about Giannis and everything to hate about Bucks ownership. All I can say about that is, Giannis, darn right, man, you just keep calling the shots there because, like I said, those owners are just grifters, and they soak it's like this. They soak the the fan, they just leech onto their pockets and then do whatever they want, and then kind of like, well, we could leave. Oh no, don't leave, don't leave. You know what? If the Bucks left right now, I wouldn't care. I would not care one bit if the Milwaukee Bucks left town, and you can print that. Doesn't affect me. It doesn't impact me whatsoever. So that's where I stand on that. But Giannis, I love you. I love Giannis for doing this. And I just hope that Edens and Haslam and anyone else who's got money in that team is just losing their ass or gets hit with a cash call. I really do. Because if you got into business with those New York hedge fund guys, it makes my skin crawl. And that's that. That's all I'm going to say. Is that. So let's get to the news, shall we? Before we get to, I said I cut the tip of my finger off right there, and I will unveil that. I haven't looked at it yet, but it was bleeding pretty bad. And if you look really, really close, you might be able to see that there was blood coming through after I patched it up, if you will. But after I get done with the news, I'm going to take that off. We're going to see exactly how bad my finger looks. And then we're going to do a little KB life coach, right? Internet life coach. I guess this would also be a sports topic too, but I love this, what Matt Leinart did. Of course, a legend at USC was, went on to be kind of nothing in the NFL, played, but had 2 national titles and a Heisman at USC. But USC retired his number. And USC has gone back to him and said, hey, will you unretire the number? Because we have a hot prospect coming in, and we'd like to give him, he wants number 11. We'd like to give him number 11. And Leinart said, no, I'm not going to. And his reasoning, I love his reasoning, and it makes all the sense in the world. He said, no, I will give my jersey back. If my son, Cole Leinart, who's at SMU, and I had no idea, it seems like only yesterday, unless he had a kid when he was in college, but it's hard to believe he's got a freshman son who's playing quarterback at SMU, but he does. He said, I will allow 11 to be used if my son comes in and should happen to transfer to USC and plays quarterback, he can have the number, or if any of my 2 younger sons go to USC, they can wear the number. But no, I'm not unretiring it for anyone else. And his reasoning is simple, and I love it. He goes, I am not going to give the number that, I gave, the best years of my life, that I, when he used the cliches, the blood, sweat, and tears, if you will, to win those Heisman, to win that Heisman trophy and those 2 natties. I am not going to give that jersey to some random dude who will transfer after a year. Here, Matt Leinart. Congratulations. That, my friend, is a great, that is a great way to look at it. Hold on a second. I have to go adjust the Kenneth cam because I'm down in the new basement studio in the new Nerve Center here. Kenneth is down here with me. So he's right in the same room now. And he kind of took a different spot on the couch. So I got to go move the camera so we could see the Kenneth cam. We'll be able to check on him throughout the show. Just if you just pause for a moment, just sit back. I will be right back. There we go, and we're back. And here we go. There's the Kenneth cam. And there is Kenneth. He's crashed on the couch. So we have the Kenneth cam working right now. He's just hanging out. We've been very lucky because his time clock hasn't adjusted to the daylight savings time, so we can push his meal time back a little bit. Yes, but Matt Leinart. Here's another one. Gen Z. They've got a viral challenge that is out there. A viral TikTok challenge that is out there. And of course, they can take anything and turn it into something that goes viral. But what it is something we used to do all the time. All the time. But they've got this a wellness challenge called raw dogging boredom. The article says, raw dogging is, when you don't do anything. No, that's not what raw dogging is. But we're just not going to go to the Urban Dictionary definition. But what they do, this is the only way. I can't understand this. They're calling it raw dogging boredom, but what they did was turned it into a viral trend. So you're really not raw dogging, are you? Because they're filming this and they're putting it out on TikTok. Okay. And what it is, raw dogging boredom involves people sitting alone for a variety of, various periods of time without phones, TV, or music. And this is supposed to be, wellness. And it's a trend, but they're not supposed to have phones, music, but they're recording all of this on a phone. And they're adding music to it. So really, it's not accomplishing what it's supposed to accomplish. But yeah, they're going to sit alone for a period of time without phones, TV, or music. You know what we called that? Being sent to our room. When I was growing up, you'd screw up. You get in your room, mister, and I do not want to hear a peep out of you. I don't want to hear anything out of you. Do not turn on the television set. I do not. You can read a book, you can do something like that, but I want you in that room, and you do not come out until I tell you when. That's what we called it. It wasn't raw. It wasn't a viral trend. It was getting punished, for Christ's sake. But it's funny. They show all these videos. So look up raw dogging boredom, and you can see what we're dealing with here. It's got people just sitting there squirming and not knowing what to do for, as short as 10 minutes without using your phone or anything else. A psychotherapist by the name of Stephanie Sarkis rather says, anytime you can unplug and be in the moment is a healthy thing. Yeah, it is. Because all of that stuff that you see on social media negatively impacts the mind. It's what's messing with them, right? They don't know how to stay in the moment. I had a thing happen to me yesterday, and I love these kids. I really do. And in a way, I feel bad for them because they're being misled by all these so-called experts. And I'm going to get into that in a little bit. But I had, I don't know how we ended up here, but they've been allowed to do a lot of things just because someone didn't want to deal with their shit. Oh, okay, yeah, it's not, and it's this attitude of, you know what, it's not worth my energy to stop you, just go ahead and do it. Well, that's a slippery slope, right? And so, particularly with students, some of them are having issues with me because I don't do things that other teachers allow. But there's a trade-off for it. I'm not making them read 7 chapters a week. So in exchange for that, all I'm asking you to do is show up in class and participate or whatever. That's all I'm asking. Right. But I had a little breakthrough yesterday with a girl in class, and they have to give this presentation. Now, I tell them that presentations are going to be split over 2 days. Get this. Going to be split over 2 days. But you have to come to both days because it's going to be a random selection. 8 kids didn't show up. Just didn't come. I couldn't have been clearer for what had to be done. And I admit, I get a little bit crafty with them. Like I'll say, I'll only give the assignments out in class and I don't post them. And I want to see if anyone's going to follow up and talk to a classmate or anything like that. Like I said, I'm here to teach lessons, not repeat what's in books. And that's a lesson that you can learn. And when you get out in the real world on a job, you learn that skill, how to backtrack something. You're going to be more valuable than anything else, right? You're going to be self-sufficient, all that stuff. But there have to do a presentation, 3-minute presentation. That's all it is. And I'm trying to teach them how to cut to the chase. So I give them a situation that they're working on, and they have to come up with an idea to sell these things. And what I call it is, you are entering the Shark Tank. And I showed them episodes of Shark Tank, and I'm not talking about the idea of the product that has to be great. What I want them to learn is how to cut to the chase. So I show them, I don't know how many intros of Shark Tank, and I go, watch this. Okay, watch these people that come in. I want you to give me the Shark Tank pitch of your idea. And what do? They come in, they set it up. Here's the problem. This is what we identified. This is how we solved it. This is why you should buy it. Boom. They're out of there. You know exactly what they're dealing with in a minute and a half, right? So that's all I'm doing. That's what I'm telling you to do. I'm going to see if you can come up with these grandiose ideas, but I want you to be able to pitch it in 90 seconds and have it make sense. But I put them in teams, and I think I had a breakthrough with this girl. The girl and the guy, they're creative partners. They get up and they're walking to the front, and they both have 3x5 cards there. And I said, are those your 3x5 cards? Does that have your presentation on it? And they said, yeah. And I go, you can't use them. You would have thought I just killed their freaking dog. I said, no, you can't use them. Why not? I go, just get up there and do the presentation. You wrote the presentation. You came up with your ideas. You should know everything about it. Go give me your presentation, but you can't use the cards. And they went up and they did fine. They did fine. Well, what they learned in this instance wasn't necessarily anything about coming up with a pitch or how to craft a pitch. When we got done, I looked at her and I said, why didn't you want to give up your card? I said, let me guess. It was because you were afraid. She's like, yeah. And I go, what were you afraid of? And she said, well, I was afraid I wouldn't get my presentation right. I said, who said it's right? You know, there's nothing to be afraid of. Just get up and do it. If you know it, just get up and talk to me. And I said to him, I'll tell you this much. This is how this works. As soon as you get up there with notes and you have anything written up, it's going to mess you up more than it is not having the notes, because you're going to be looking at those notes and you're going to miss a word in a sentence that you have fully written out. It's going to throw you and you're not going to be able to deal with it. But we went through this whole thing and they were a lot better. And I said to her afterwards, I go, I told you would learn how to do things in this class. I was going to teach you things that weren't in books. And I said, I taught you one thing today and you did it yourself, is you can present without notes. Now you just have to get better at it. So she was happy, but she'll probably still knife me in the back on my, teacher evaluation. They all do. But that's the kind of thing that I wanted to do. Anyway, well, what are we back to? Oh, the wellness challenge, raw dogging boredom. You should probably try that sometime. Just sit and stare, like Putty did on Seinfeld when he was on that plane. He's the original raw dog. Speaking of being on planes, air travel. I'm loving this. I'm loving it and I'm hating it. Watching Southwest just crash and burn because they decided to walk away from their business model and now everybody is pissed. But this is even better. A passenger was removed from a Frontier Airlines flight after crew members were upset because she wasn't listening intently to the flight attendant instructions, and they say that, you know, you got to come on and they'll, and if you have an exit row, they'll talk to you about an exit row. Are you able to handle this? But she wasn't listening intently, and they asked her to leave the plane. And this was all documented on TikTok, and she's saying, I didn't do anything wrong. I didn't do anything wrong. They took her off the plane, and they said this woman was not paying attention. She did not listen to the pre-flight announcements. We do not feel safe with her on here. I don't know why, but they had her removed from the plane. Why is that an issue? She was deaf. Yeah. She was deaf on the plane, had her ticket stub marked that she had a disability and that she was deaf. The crew members saw that she was deaf and still kicked her off the flight anyway. The gate agents apologized, helped her rebook her flight, but you can't discriminate. So not only is she getting a rebooked flight, but I got a feeling she is going to get a shit ton of money, which means bags are not going to fly free. They never did on Frontier, but they'll probably go from $50 to $55 to pay off this lady because, man, has she got a lawsuit on her hands for Frontier. What I guess I don't understand, if you're a crew member, she's not listening. Oh, she's deaf? Oh, okay, I get that. Okay, can we run that? Okay, is there another way we can run these things through with her? You know, what's the protocol for that? I don't care if she's deaf or not. We're just going to get her off the plane. No, she's a danger to everybody else. Is she really? Is she really a danger to everybody else? I don't think so. I really don't. In fact, I know she's not. Blind people, nothing wrong with blind people, but I could see if you had a choice between deaf and blind, I think the blind person would struggle more if anything happened. And I'm not implying by any stretch of the imagination that they shouldn't be allowed to fly, but blind person would be more likely to get in the way because they wouldn't know exactly where they were going. At least the deaf person would have some visual acuity. But both should be allowed to fly and should be welcomed into our loving, caring arms as children of God. That's all I'm saying. Before I unveil my finger, and thanks, Bob. I don't know how bad this is. All I know is it bled like a mother. So it could not be bad. I'll tell you how I did it, but it may not be bad at all, but it bled like a SOB. But I was reading, and there's hope for us yet. I'm going to say this, there is hope for us yet, because I was reading an article, and there is becoming a divide, I guess, in parenting styles and choices. Now, I'm always bitching about the generation that follows us and how they're raising their kids. Why? Because I'm getting old, and that's what you do. You bitch about other people's, how they're raising their kids and how stupid they are. But this is Gen Z on Gen Z crime. They went out and they did this study, and here are some things that Gen Z parents are pissed off about that other Gen Z parents are doing. And or I wouldn't say, Gen Z against Gen Z. I would say people with their heads screwed on straight versus Gen Z. And some of these are pretty cool. Of course, gentle parenting is on there. And, you can't, as I've said on more than one occasion, you can't reason with a 4-year-old, right? Their brains don't understand the concept of reason. You can't sit down and, now, why did you do that? No. And case in point, I'm going to, why this doesn't work, and I'm just going to go right to the old animal kingdom there. Now, recently, Sue has been getting into watching, and we went up there at that Shalom Wildlife area. They got a bunch of tigers up there, and they got a white, a white tiger, and they have 2 baby white tigers, I think, and then they've got couple other babies. There's probably 6 or 7 tigers there. But Sue watches them all the time. Why does she watch the tigers all the time? She watches the tigers all the time because the eagles aren't there yet on the screen, on the cam. And then it's eagle cam all the way. So is watching the mother raise these tigers. And this is why I'm saying gentle parenting doesn't work. So there's 2 girls of the cubs. Is it 2 boys and a girl or 2 girls and a boy? It doesn't really matter. But there's this one boy who Sue goes, he is such a little shit. And he is. And he's always picking on the other 2, right? And I know one of them is a girl. And he's always picking on, right? And we're watching this one day, or Sue shows me this video, and the little boy cub is picking on the sister, and the mom's sitting there. And she's just watching. It's just like this. Okay, I'm going to watch what you're doing. All right. Okay. And then she gives him that look like, keep it up. And then the lion or the tiger doesn't do anything, and the tiger keeps screwing around. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, big paw, whap. Little tiger cub goes rolling. You know what? Didn't do it again. There was no reasoning there. That, I think, now, up until the point where you hit, I mean, you shouldn't be hitting your kids. I mean, definitely. Okay. But doesn't mean you can't snap at them, and which you should, like, knock it. That, I mean, you have to yell to get their attention. If you don't, they're just like, la, 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 la. And, but that's what they need at that age. They need to know that just like Simba, they can't go into the elephant graveyard, right? You can't go in there. And if you go in there, there are consequences. But some of the other things that some Gen Z parents are bitching about other Gen Z parents, and I'm glad they're kind of coming around, is I can't stand how other parents are putting so much pressure on their kids to play sports. It's one sport after, if you want your kid to play sports and they enjoy it, by all means, let them do that. But it's when you've got these kids when they're young and they're going down to one sport and that's all they do. And they give up these other sports that may be fun to focus on this for what? Because most of them aren't going anywhere. Now, that's not to say that some of them aren't, because there are guys that kids that my son played hockey with that went on and had D1 careers. And one kid went to the AHL. All right. So that's fine. But the pressure isn't the pressure on the kid to perform. That's all the parents. And I know when I was within this situation, and I know the pressure. And I was not a perfect sports parent by any stretch of the imagination. Okay. But I did calm down later. But parents almost take it on themselves like, oh my God, my kid's embarrassing me. I'm a bad parent. You're not. The kid's just having fun. You got to let it go. And let them play whatever they want. We thought my son locked into hockey. My son had such a shitty hockey coach in high school. I shall not mention his name. So bad, mean, and made the high school hockey team. Then I had to be nice to him for 2 years because you didn't want to be a dick to him, because then your kid would even get ripped on worse. So I was painted into a corner, and just a total dick. And we're talking about a kid who used to sleep with his hockey stick when he was little. Loved it. Lived for this game. They get knocked out of his senior year. They get knocked out of the first game at state. And he gets done, has to play a game for Milwaukee Phoenix the next day in Chicago. And after that, because he was committed to the team, but that was the last game they had. And as soon as that game was done, he took off his skates, put them in the basement, and they didn't come out for 5, 6, 7 years. Just was done. And that's all from people getting too intense and coaches getting too intense. Here's another one. Breaking the bank for your kid's birthday party. other parents. Man, I can understand the pressure that, it's the parents putting the pressure on each other. But I mean, come on, the kids too. He's not going to remember that, you had a F1 McLaren drive through the neighborhood. He's two. You don't have to drop that kind of coin. Put a slip and slide out in the backyard, some bubbles, let them run through a sprinkler, call it a day, eat some hot dogs. Although we used to take, which is pretty cool. We probably still have them here. We used to go to this place and have bowling parties every once in a while. My son had a few of those, and then all the kids signed the bowling pin. But that's pretty cool. Here's a big one, and I tell kids this all the time. Not apologizing when you make a mistake. Oof. They will double down on stuff. Students double down on it. They'll find a way to turn it back on you. And my wife is this way. It's like, you can do that, but you're going to get it twice as bad if I find out that you just lied to me. But not apologizing. To teach a kid how to apologize, it's tough. But I've learned it took me the longest time. And if you really believe that your life, you don't want it to be a hassle and you don't want aggravation, learn the fine art of the mea culpa, right? Because if you don't do it, then your life is a mess. Then that's going to be hanging over you. If you fucked up, say, I fucked up. So, I did. Sorry about it. And then if you hate me, and okay, well, that's on you yet. But I did my deal. Teach kids how to apologize. And not this one. This one drives me crazy. I'm sorry that you were upset by what I said. What the hell does that mean? I'm sorry that you were upset. That's not apologizing. That's saying, in a way, it's going, I'm sorry if you were upset. It's like, oh, I feel bad that you didn't take it the right way. No, you said something. Say, I'm sorry for upsetting you. That's how that works. Don't but that's everything. Is you use all these little words in there, and you throw a couple of disclaimers and some other things to kind of soften the blow, and then you're not apologizing. Apologize. How about this? Never saying no to your kid. Oh, that is, oh my God. We got people that I know that never say no to their kid, and they're fucking howler monkeys. They are out of control. They are literally out of control. Here's another one is that I can't, my wife sees this all the time. Not reading to them. If you got little kids, man, read to them. But they don't. Parents don't read to them, so they come in and they don't know any of the basics. You know what she said? This one is kind of heartbreaking. I think it's kind of heartbreaking. Get 4-year-olds that come in, and she says half of them, if not more, don't know Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star or the Itsy Bitsy Spider or any of those things that you learned when you were 2 or 3. And it's like, what? Didn't your mom ever sing that to you? You are my sunshine. That's one that my wife always used to sing to my son. You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. And he remembers it to this day. They don't know these things. They don't do it. And I think you've got a situation where they're like, oh, that's an inconvenience for me. It's taking away from what I want to do. Well, you know what? It's fucking up the rest of us because you're putting these mullions out into the world that can't function. Then we have to deal with them while, you're off at, your girls' retreat. Showing up on taxi cart or on night cart confessions, driving around Old Town Scottsdale. And the other one is putting them on the tablets all the time. Technology, it's not only killing their motor skills, but you put them on a tablet all the time. You notice something? when they're on a tablet, they don't talk to anyone. And none of these fuckers can talk to anyone. Can't hold a conversation. So I saw that and I'm like, that's pretty interesting to take a look at it. But it's coming back around because if it's Gen Z on Gen Z crime, I'm all for it. The unveiling. Yeah. So here's my finger. I don't know. So what I did yesterday is so we were making Rubens, right? We were making I'm gonna have to get this. We were making Rubens, and I decided I was going to make some air fryer potatoes. And so I don't know. It's a mandolin, a slicer, right? One of those hand slicers where you go. You get the hand slicer there, and you've got a thing that has like spikes on it. So I got the potato because I'm going to make potato chips, right? I'm going to make air fryer potato chips. So you got the thing that goes on the end, and you go slice, 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 slice. But you know what? Because I'm a guy, it's like, screw that. I don't need that at all. I'm just going to do the potato. Why do I need that? You know, and it's scrape, 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 scrape. Bah. All right, there goes part of my finger. Went into the bowl somewhere. I don't know where it ended up. Hopefully it didn't end up in the air fryer, but I don't know. So I haven't looked at this, but all I know is it was bleeding like a mother. So I just covered it up. And so here we go. I want to take a look at. I don't think it's that. Doesn't appear to be that bad. But can we get the? It's not all that bad. So it's really not like I cut the whole tip off. I just cut like a big chunk out of the side, if you will. So that is kind of nasty there. I'm just going to slide this back on until I can put a new one on afterwards. So it's like a little, there we go. It's a little finger head, a finger helmet. There's a finger helmet. But I do like the mandolin slicer. And what it has done, and I am not going to lie to you about this, and there's no reason why I should. But what that mandolin slicer has, we have never had one up until this point. But what it has done is it has really expanded, at least for me, my vegetable additions to a salad. It's so easy to do cucumbers or tomatoes or anything like that, and onions, and put it into a salad, whereas I wouldn't before because I have to get it out and I have to cut it and it would be too thick or anything like that. So I'm looking forward to more robust salads in the future. But I guess that's not that bad. It doesn't really, can't really see. Is it coming in? Can't really see. But if you look in there, you can see how much blood was in there. It was bleeding like a mother. Dave, will it affect my guitar playing? No, because it's on my right hand. If it was on my left hand, it would suck. Some would argue it's not going to affect my guitar playing anyway because it's not that good to begin with. And they may not be wrong. They may not be wrong. So I'll have to, but this is going to be one of those things that's going to be a pain in the ass because it's going to just it's in a place where I can't hit the return thing on a typewriter, and more problem than what it's worth. But I think what I'm saying to you people is use that little thing with the spikes in it. Keep your fingers. But have you ever met a butcher that has a full set of fingers? I never have. I have never met a butcher, and I've only known a few in my lifetime, but they're all missing fingers. Next time you go to get something at the meat department and you have a guy pull out a steak, and I don't know if they hide their hands. Hey, can you go pull out a steak? Zoom in on their hands because they're all missing fingers. Every last one of them is missing a finger. So you want to zoom in on that and see exactly what happened, because I bet you 80% of them are. Do that and check back at me, will you? Check back in on if you saw butchers that are missing fingers. In fact, maybe you could report on it, and you could give us a report of butchers where they're missing fingers. So a couple things we're going to finish up here. What I want to finish up is what I'm going to do is give you KB Internet Life Coach. This is my first. If this goes well, I'm going to go in. I'm going to make a logo, and I'll make a song using AI. So KB Internet Life Coach. Here we go. This one comes from a woman who says, "Hey," and this was on Reddit, and Reddit is where you can find all these train wrecks of people. It says, "Hey guys, I just got back into the dating scene after getting divorced a couple of years ago, and I've been seeing a guy named Paul since last summer. Hey, it seemed like an easy grown-up relationship without all the drama until St. Patrick's Day. St. Patrick's Day. Okay. What does that tell you? It's going to be a problem. There's alcohol involved. Yep. So we both took half days so we could go out. I've done the bar crawl thing with girlfriends for years, but this was our first time doing it together. Aww. At first it was fun, but he was really knocking drinks back. There we go. And once someone got him doing JMO shots, it all went downhill. Really, what are the odds that doing JMO, shooters at JMO, is going to cause a crash? Never would have thought. He could barely stand. Okay, good date. Good date. So I said I was calling an Uber. Out of nowhere, he got mean, accusing me of never letting him have any fun. Then said that she was calling him an alcoholic. And then, this is the straw that broke the camel's back, suggested that she was just in the relationship for the sex. So I walked out. He's been blowing up my phone, apologizing, saying he doesn't remember most of it, but I've been through a marriage where I made excuses for bad behavior. Part of me wonders if drunk words were honest thoughts. I'm not sure what to do now. Thank you, Vanessa. Okay, Vanessa, here's what you're going to do. Number one, if you listen to what all the women are going to say on this thing and reply, they're going to tell you to dump this guy, which you might want to do. Not saying that that's not an option. Okay, but here's the thing. This is what I would do if I was you. The guy got hammered. He put a clip on. You've known him for a year, and you've been dating him for a year, and he hasn't been like, Marlo, yeah, Vanessa, run. Yes, maybe, possibly. But I know, Marlo, you are not going to like my logic on this. But if this is the first time that he did this, went out and got hammered like this, hey, it happens sometimes. It happens. God knows it happens. I know it happens. All right. So I would say you could let this one maybe slide. You don't have to. I can understand why you want to leave, but okay. This is the first time he's ever gotten to this, where he's gotten off the deep end. Yeah. Then if it's the first time, all right, let's see. Set up another time to go out on a pub crawl, see what happens. Happens again, gone. But you got to sit down and have a talk with him about something that he said, because this might be one of the boldest things that any man, if you want to talk about a guy who has a self-inflated or overinflated self-image, it's this cat, Paul. All right. I have been in the situation where I've probably said to Sue, you never let me have any fun. You put a clip on, you say that, you do, right? Sue learned early on in our relationship that there was a window of opportunity for me. Didn't really know what that window was, right? It's not like it's on a clock, right? It's based on how long you've started the run that you're on, when it's supposed to end. You know, it's a feel thing. And she knew that there was a window, and that window was probably a half hour. If she hooked me, I was gone. If she hooked me, I was gone. I was out. If she could get me at that time, if she couldn't get me out in that first half hour, she was out. And she left, not out like leaving me, but she knew that it was either, let's say, 10:30, you're going home, or I'm not going to see you till 4 a.m. That was when I was in my 20s. She knew if she missed that opportunity, she was gone. Okay. And I'm sure there are times that when I, took the hook early, I said, "Oh, come on, we're not having any fun." Sue has never called me an alcoholic. But we went through COVID together and she still hasn't. So that's a good thing. But here we go. This is where the guy, it's like the nerve. I couldn't believe this. You're dating a woman, you're out and you're shit faced, and you look at her with a straight shit face and say, "You're just in it for the sex." Are you fucking crazy? You want to talk about someone who thinks a little too highly of themselves. I can't even begin to imagine. There is not any guy who could go to that. That is like the ultimate narcissist. If a guy can go up to a woman and say, "You're only with me for the sex." Jesus, good Lord. I don't think there is a woman on the planet that is with a guy for the sex. I don't think there's one. I honestly don't. Why? Because they control the sex. They can do it whenever they want. Right? But a guy, no, we have to play the hand differently. We do. We don't hold that position of power. Right? I don't care, unless the guy's hung like a mule. And even that isn't always a good thing. Or so I'm told. But the bottom line is that, honey, Vanessa, girlfriend, why did I say that? I'm not gay. I'm not even gay. I can't be her gay. But Vanessa, my dear, my young lassie, that's why you run. You don't run because he put a clip on, and you don't run because he says you never let him have fun. Okay. You run because he said you're just in it for the sex. That's why you run. Because if any guy is thinking that, he's a sociopath. Okay. And you're going to have bigger issues down the line, Vanessa. You are going to have bigger issues down the line. So that's my suggestion to you, is that, yeah, you can run, but don't run because he got lit up and went out on a heater. You run because he thinks you're in it for the sex. So he is freaking delusional, and it's only going to get worse. And that is the advice that I have from KB Internet Life Coach. We're at the end of the show, folks. One last thing before we go. And I'm going to leave you with Kenneth's quote of the day. But before I do, be back tomorrow for another show. Piper's going to be on every day next week. We love us some Piper. She's getting used to this. She's getting used to this whole thing that we're doing. We love us some Piper. And she said she'll be on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday of next week. So that'll be fun. I'll have someone to talk to. Not that I don't mind talking to you, but I don't like sitting here talking to myself and not having anyone to banter back and forth with. But that will change after June 9th. I can assure you of that. And that will be my Independence Day. So before we leave, let's check in and see how Kenneth is doing. There we go. There's the Kenneth cam. So we are going to leave you with Kenneth's quote of the day.
It's Kenneth's quote, it's Kenneth's quote, it's Kenneth's quote of the day.
Yes, and Kenneth's quote of the day that he leaves you with is very simple. And you should try and live this if you can. Just remember, for every minute you are angry, you lose 60 seconds of happiness. So right there, Kenneth, one smart dog. So thanks for stopping by today. I'll be back tomorrow. And I didn't do this, but if you want to go to the YouTube channel, it is going up. I am going to put up I said I was going to do this, but you can see my recipe. I did a video, my recipe for the Irish quesadilla. If you get some corned beef left over, this is what you do with it. So you can just go there and see it. It'll be in the short section of the YouTube page. So I will talk to you again tomorrow at 3 p.m. Until that time, what do I say? Make good choices.
And that's it for this episode of KB's Unemployed Show. If you want to follow me on my unemployed journey, just subscribe to my channel below or dive into one of the playlists for all my unemployed action.